So was this book in any way necessary? And will it finally put the sleepy Clinton dynasty to bed? Hillary, guess what? We've got a throne and an open invitation waiting for you right here on Kennedy. Feel free to stop in any time to tell us all about what happened. Joining me now, he's the host of Media Buzz on the Fox News Channel, Howard Kurtz. Howard, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Kennedy, I'll just fill the space while you're waiting for Hillary to show up.
Thank you very much. You are also queenly and majestic, and you are welcome here anytime. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's talk a little bit about her treatment of the media in this book, because she's making some very serious claims that although any rational being in the modern world would assume that the media was actually on her side, given how much negative coverage they gave her opponent in the general election and most of her primary opponents, but she really took aim at the media. Do you think that's a good strategy?
No, I think it's a dumb strategy, and I thought it was a dumb strategy when she employed it during the campaign. I mean, for all of the focus on the tendentious relationship between Donald Trump and the mainstream media, I mean, Hillary Clinton hasn't trusted the press since she was first lady in the early 1990s. She gave very few interviews, even to the friendly confines of MSNBC, and when she did do interviews, she was so carefully controlled and programmed, and I think that hurt her as much as anything.
And she writes about that in her book. It's actually a series of auto-indictments, whether she intends it that way or not. She even writes about how on Election Day she didn't pay any attention to the polls, although her husband, Bill Clinton, always loved that stuff on Election Day. And she also talked about how there were suggestions made by her team that she went ahead and accepted, although her intuition told her otherwise. So now, you know, the fact that so many of her choices had negative consequences, she's trying to blame other people, but doesn't that ultimately fall on her shoulders?
You know, absolutely. I mean, it is exhausting, the list of, you know, Bernie, Comey, Russians, media, the list of targets that Hillary Clinton blames and takes a swipe at Joe Biden and all of that. But I must say, from what I have read, more so than I have seen in the past, Hillary Clinton does seem to take some responsibility for her own mistakes and misjudgments and not connecting with working class Americans. I don't know if she gets into, you know, not going to Wisconsin and Michigan. So I'll give her a little credit for that. You know, many of us don't want to relive 2016 like some endless Groundhog Day nightmare. I know many Democrats would rather be talking about the future. But if the book is as boring as you say, it has gotten an avalanche of coverage and critique and criticism, which is just going to help her ring that cash register.
It has, and it's interesting because, you know, when she goes after the New York Times, she goes, well, they're probably going to give me a negative book review. It's like, if you wrote a good book, they would give you a positive book review. They hate the guy that you ran against, and she doesn't seem to understand that. But even as you mentioned, when she goes after her own choices, you know, she talks about how she shouldn't have given those speeches to Wall Street banks because of the bad optics of how it looked, not for the actual content of the speeches or the fact that maybe in and of itself was a bad idea.
Yeah, it's the same with the email scandal. She thinks the New York Times and other media outlets made it an overblown story, as opposed to the fact that she shouldn't have done it while at the State Department in the first place. Look, it seems to me that this book is part score settling, hardly unusual for a politician. It's part written for history, and it's part therapy for her, because, you know, she needs to justify to herself, to her followers, and to the world how in the world she lost to this guy she still attacks in the book, Donald Trump. She made him president. No,
it's pretty amazing, because she actually, in doing that, continues to make a case against herself. But, you know, one thing I want to end on is she attacks Donald Trump for his personal foundation, saying that it was his personal piggy bank, but at the same time trying to defend the Clinton Foundation. And if the Clinton Foundation were such a worthwhile and worthy organization, wouldn't you still have governments and rich people lining up to donate? And wouldn't you see their good work sprout fruit throughout the devastated areas that Hurricanes Harvey and Irma touched down?
It's a little harder to raise money when you don't have some influence to peddle or future influence to potentially peddle. So that's another, I think, blind spot for Hillary Clinton. Look, there's a lot of reasons that she lost. And at the same time, I think everybody now gets a chance to join in the fun, to critique the book. You know, historians, it could be valuable for them. She talks about sexism, and it seems to me that after 45 male presidents, she's entitled to say that. But that's not why she lost.
Howard Kurtz, thank you so much.
Great to see you.
Thank you.